My name is Caleb Rourke. I'm 37 years old. Divorced. No kids. I make my living inspecting things people would rather not look at too closely. Foundations. Load-bearing walls. Attics filled with mold and bones. I decide whether a building is safe to exist. Most days, that job keeps me alone. I drive. I inspect. I write reports no one reads unless something goes wrong. I don't mind the quiet. After the divorce, quiet felt easier than pretending. Oh, I grew up in Toledo, Ohio, a place where factories die slowly, and people learn not to ask why. My father worked maintenance at a glass plant until it shut down. He came home every night smelling like dust and oil. My mother left when I was 12 and never explained why. I married too young, divorced too quietly. We packed our lives into boxes and split them evenly. Furniture, photos, silence. Silence can be louder than shouting. That's why I took the job in Eldridge, West Virginia. Officially, I was there to inspect a property flagged for condemnation. The address was 117 Briar Hollow Road. Unofficially, I volunteered because the note on the work order said, "Inspector refusal rate, 100%. I told myself it was superstition. Small towns collect stories the way dust collects on shelves. Ah, Eldridge sits folded into the Appalachian Hills. Coal dust still clings to the air, even decades after the mines closed. The town smells like wet leaves, rusted metal, and wood that never quite dries. People watched me as I passed, not curious, measuring. No one waved. I checked into the Black Bear Motor Lodge. The woman at the desk was named Martha Klein. Late 60s. Smoker's cough. Sharp eyes that never quite left my face. When I told her why I was in town, her hand froze on the room key. "That house breathes." She said it the way you say the weather. No drama. No warning. She didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. Briar Hollow Road curved downward into the woods. Cell service faded. Trees pressed close. Branches scraped my truck like they were listening. The air grew warmer the farther I drove, heavy enough to sit on my chest. Then the house appeared, set back from the road, half hidden. No broken windows, no graffiti, no signs anyone had tried to enter. That bothered me more than decay ever could. I unlocked the front door at 9:14 a.m. The hinges didn't creak. They exhaled. The sound was soft, relieved. The air inside was warm, damp. It smelled like old copper, mildew, and something faintly sweet, like something left too long in a sealed room. Then I heard it. A slow, rhythmic breathing. Not pipes, not wind. Breathing. The sound followed me as I moved. Not louder, not softer. Present. The floorboards felt soft, almost spongy beneath my boots. The walls radiated heat, especially in the hallway. The wallpaper peeled in long, curling strips. I pressed my hand against one. It was warm. Too warm. I laughed quietly and wrote a note about insulation failure. That's what you do when logic starts slipping. You give it a name that sounds reasonable. I The house belonged to Edgar and Lillian Marsh. He worked the mines. She was a librarian, married over 40 years. No children, no close relatives. Neighbors said Lillian stopped going to church. Said Edgar started boarding the basement windows from the inside. Then one winter, they vanished. No car, no note. The house was locked when deputies arrived. From the inside. I found Lillian's journal under the kitchen sink, wrapped in plastic. At first, it was normal. Weather notes, Edgar's back pain, books she missed reading. Then the writing changed. The walls are warm. It remembers us. It listens. The final entry said, "We agreed not to leave." The page was torn, where her pen pressed too hard. The basement stairs curved downward, like a throat. Each step felt warmer than the last. The air thickened. At the bottom was a door. New, reinforced, scratched deeply. From the inside, something had wanted out. The door opened easily. The room had no windows. The walls pulsed, expanding, contracting. The house was breathing. 2 deep impressions lay in the floor. Human-shaped. Used. Edgar Marsh was fused into the wall. His body absorbed. His skin blended seamlessly into the surface. Only his face remained. His eyes followed me. His mouth opened. "We stayed," he whispered. "It gets lonely." The walls tightened around him, not cruelly, but gently. I don't remember running. I remember heat, pressure, the feeling of being held too tightly for too long. The house didn't stop me. It let me go. That felt worse. My report condemned the house. Structurally unsound. Uninhabitable. It was burned 3 weeks later. I watched the footage online. The flames moved strangely, like the house was exhaling smoke on purpose. But sometimes, late at night, when my apartment is quiet, I feel warmth in the walls. I hear a slow exhale. Patient. Waiting. This was dark and creepy stories. And this was only the beginning. Tap the like and subscribe button for more. Thanks for your support.
I used to believe violence announced itself. Raised voices, broken glass, sirens. That was comforting, in a way. It suggested a line you could see before you crossed it. I was wrong. Real violence moves quietly, through paperwork and routine, until the moment it touches you. Then it feels sudden, even though it's been circling for a long time. My name is Evan Mercer. I'm 38 years old. Married, 1 daughter. I worked in compliance review for a private logistics contractor operating out of Houston, Texas, mostly along the ship channel and surrounding industrial zones. I was there because the job paid well and because it let me believe I was adjacent to important things without being responsible for them. That illusion didn't survive long. Why I was there? People ask why I stayed in Houston. I tell them work. That's only half true. Rachel and I met here after college. She teaches 8th grade science in Pasadena, just southeast of the city. Lily was born at a hospital off I-45 during a thunderstorm so loud the nurses joked it would make her fearless. Houston is sprawl and noise and heat. It hides people easily. You can disappear into entire neighborhoods without anyone noticing, and that's not an accident. It's a feature. That's why the contracts came here. That's why I stayed. The first file that didn't sit right. The first missing woman wasn't even flagged. Her name was Marisol Vega, 26, single, warehouse temp through a subcontractor. Her file listed her as voluntary departure. No criminal history, no dependents. Last known address, a rented room near Magnolia Park. What caught my attention wasn't what was there. It was what wasn't. No follow-up, no employer interview, no digital footprint after her last shift. People don't vanish cleanly unless someone helps them, or takes them. Patterns don't bleed, until they do. Once you notice one inconsistency, others appear. Yadira Cruz, 20, retail worker, closed in 5 days. On Tran, 31, nail technician, work visa complications cited. Rosa Calderon, 23, laundry attendant, listed as left city. Different names, different backgrounds, same contractors, same transfer windows, same silent exits. I pulled records late at night, after Rachel and Lily were asleep. The house would creak, the air conditioner clicking on and off, and I'd sit at the kitchen table surrounded by printouts, convincing myself I was just being thorough. Thoroughness is what gets you noticed. Maribel. I met Maribel Cruz at a taqueria near Gulf Gate because she didn't trust offices. Her sister Yadira had lived with her. Shared clothes. Shared secrets. Shared a single cracked mirror in a bedroom that smelled like cheap perfume and detergent. She hated highways, Maribel told me. Took the bus everywhere. She slid her phone across the table. The last message read, "On my way." No one runs away with half a sentence. I promised Maribel I'd keep looking. That was the first promise I couldn't keep. The van. The night I saw it happen, it was humid enough that the air felt thick in my lungs. I was parked across from a laundromat on Harrisburg Boulevard, watching Rosa Calderon fold clothes through fogged glass. I told myself I was just observing, gathering confirmation. The van arrived without headlights. White, unmarked, too clean. 2 men stepped out. Calm, efficient. One said Rosa's name like he knew her. She turned. They guided her toward the door. Not dragging, not rushing. She screamed once when she understood. By the time I crossed the street, the van was already pulling away. No one else moved. A sock lay in the gutter, slowly filling with rainwater. That's when I understood something that would haunt me later. This wasn't hidden. It was routine. Normalization. The police report called it an unconfirmed incident. No license plate, no suspects, no follow-up. I replayed the moment over and over. What I could have done differently. How fast I could have run. That kind of thinking is a trap. They count on witnesses freezing, on hesitation, on everyone assuming someone else will act. They count on normal. The first time they touched me. It happened 2 nights later, in my own driveway. I was unloading groceries when something hit me between the shoulders and drove me face first into the concrete. My vision exploded in white. A knee pinned my spine. "Stop," a man said calmly. "You're complicating things." My phone disappeared from my hand. They didn't rush. They wanted me conscious. They always do. The warehouse. They drove me north, toward the industrial park I'd been circling for weeks. No hood, no music. The warehouse smelled like disinfectant and oil. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. They tied me to a chair with practiced movements. The man who spoke wore gloves. He showed me photographs. Rosa, Anne, Marisol, some alive, some barely. "This is inventory," he said. "And you're interfering." He punched me once. Clean, precise, not rage. Instruction. Consequences. They dropped me off near my car like discarded packaging. I didn't go to the hospital. I went home and sat in the dark, waiting for my hands to stop shaking. Rachel noticed anyway. She always does. "You're lying," she said softly. "I don't know about what. But you are." I told her enough to scare her. Not enough to stop myself. Anne Tran. Anne called me 2 weeks later. "They're asking questions," she said. "About who I talked to." Her voice sounded smaller than before. 2 days after that, she was dead. Hit and run. Uninsured driver. No cameras. Her body was cremated before I could see her. That wasn't negligence. That was cleanup. The fire. The warehouse burned the same night. I watched flames crawl up the walls from across the channel. I knew people were inside. I knew no one would check. The report blamed faulty wiring. I threw up in the dirt and tasted smoke for hours afterward. When it comes home, Rachel called at 2:11 a.m. "There's a car outside," she whispered. It's been idling. By the time I got there, the porch light was shattered. On the kitchen table sat an envelope. Inside was a photo of Lily walking home from school. Time stamped. That's when the story stopped being theoretical. What I didn't understand yet. I thought violence escalated because people panicked. That's wrong. Violence escalates because it works. And I was about to learn how far they were willing to go to keep it that way. After the photo of Lily, I stopped pretending I was in control. Fear doesn't arrive screaming. It settles in your chest and stays there, like something heavy refusing to move. I slept on the floor outside her bedroom for 3 nights. Not guarding, listening. Every passing car, every shift in the house, registered as a possible beginning of the end. Rachel watched me unravel quietly. That scared her more than shouting ever could. The rules change. I moved Rachel and Lily to her sister's place in College Station, telling Lily it was a surprise visit. She believed me because she wanted to. Children are generous that way. I stayed behind. Predators notice when prey runs. I needed him to think I hadn't. The second abduction. It happened near Navigation Boulevard, just after midnight. Rain slicked the alley, turning the pavement into a mirror. I heard the scream before I saw her, a sharp, animal sound that bypasses thought and goes straight to muscle. A woman was being dragged backward toward a van, heels scraping uselessly against concrete. 2 men this time, faster than before. I didn't hesitate. I tackled one of them from behind, felt his elbow connect with my jaw, tasted blood. The other man turned and stabbed me low and fast, like muscle memory. I dropped. They took her anyway. The van disappeared, leaving me bleeding in the rain, staring at a sky that didn't care. I remember thinking, absurdly, that I'd finally acted. Too late. Emergency room truths. At the ER, a nurse stitched my side without asking many questions. "You should stop," she whispered while tying off the suture. "People have been asking about you." I asked who. She shook her head and walked away. Fear travels faster than facts. Maribel Cruz. Maribel died at a stoplight. Single gunshot. Close range. No robbery. No warning. The report said gang-related. There was no gang, just proximity. I attended her funeral from the back, watching her mother collapse against a coffin that held the last person who'd spoken her sister's name out loud. That's when guilt stopped being emotional and became physical. A weight I couldn't shift. The fixer, the man from the elevator, came back. This time, he didn't pretend coincidence. He met me at a quiet bar near downtown where no one listened too closely. "You're exhausting people," he said, sipping whiskey. "Including yourself." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were transfer papers. A new position, a new city, enough money to make the past fade if you let it. "People forgive silence," he said. "They don't forgive disruption." I pushed it back. That's when his expression changed. Not angry, disappointed. "You misunderstand," he said. "This isn't a threat. It's a courtesy." The kill I witnessed. They killed a man 3 days later. Not a victim, a courier. I followed him from a staging site near the ship channel, thinking he might lead me somewhere useful. He led me to a dead end. 2 cars boxed him in. He didn't run. He knew. They shot him twice and left his body in the open. No hurry, no cleanup. A message. I took photos, videos, evidence. None of it mattered. Pressure points. My car was broken into again. This time they carved a word into the dashboard. Enough. They misspelled my name underneath it. On purpose. Rachel called crying from College Station, saying a car had followed Lily home from the park. That was the moment I realized something essential. This system didn't need secrecy. It needed compliance. The choice. I had enough evidence to burn individuals. Not the machine. Exposing it would mean open war. Staying silent would mean survival. I thought about Lily, about the photo, about Maribel's mother, about Rose's scream. I started backing everything up to multiple locations. Physical copies, dead drops, names attached to dates and places. If I disappeared, the story wouldn't. What violence really does. Violence doesn't just remove people. It teaches everyone else how to behave. I was supposed to learn my lesson. Instead, I learned theirs. And I decided I'd rather die loud than live clean. Once you decide to burn something down, you learn how fast fire spreads. I didn't sleep after that choice. I catalogued, organized, printed. I attached names to timestamps, addresses to shell companies, faces to vehicles. I stopped thinking in terms of justice and started thinking in terms of exposure. If I couldn't stop them, I could make them visible. That terrified them more than bullets ever could. The last safe place. The only place I still felt invisible was the public library downtown. No cameras that mattered, too many people to isolate, too boring to monitor closely. I met Javier Molina there. He was a contractor's assistant, low enough not to matter, close enough to see things. He smelled like cigarettes and panic. They move them at night, he said, voice shaking. Through temporary holding sites. No one stays long. He handed me a flash drive. There are names on that, he said. Real ones. I asked him why he was helping me. He looked at his hands. My cousin, he said. 6 months ago. That's how it always starts. They were already there. I knew it was a mistake the moment Javier didn't walk back out with me. The library doors burst open. Plain clothes. Unmarked badges. Too clean. They didn't grab me. They grabbed Javier, dragged him away while he screamed my name like I could do something. I didn't follow. That will haunt me longer than anything else. The body. Javier's body surfaced 3 days later in the bayou. Hands tied. Teeth broken. Official cause. Drowning. The flash drive still worked. That meant they wanted me to have it. Fear isn't always about stopping you. Sometimes it's about shaping what you do next. The attempt. They tried to take Rachel. Not cleanly, not quietly. A car forced her off the road outside Brazos County, clipped her rear bumper and sent her spinning into a ditch. A man approached with a calm smile and open hands. She floored it anyway, hit him, kept going. She didn't stop driving until she reached a police station parking lot. That's when the message became unmistakable. This wasn't about warnings anymore. This was about endings. The collapse. I leaked everything, not to one outlet, to dozens. Journalists, advocacy groups, international orgs, anyone who couldn't be silenced quickly. Names, addresses, routes, contracts. For 48 hours, the city buzzed with rumors. Investigations were announced, statements were made, then the machine adapted. Scapegoats appeared, mid-level arrests, shocked officials promising reform. The system shed skin and kept breathing. The call, the fixer called one last time. You've done what you can, he said. Now stop. Behind him, I could hear a woman crying. Soft, controlled, exhausted. That sound did something to me. I told him to go to hell. He sighed. You never understood scale, he said. The line went dead. The loss. They didn't take Rachel. They didn't take Lily. They took something quieter. A judge overseeing a related inquiry died suddenly. A journalist pulled out after threats. A witness recanted on camera. Momentum collapsed. Hope bled out slowly. And somewhere in the noise, another woman disappeared. Aftermath in real time. I lost my job first. Then my clearance. Then friends who stopped answering calls. Rachel stayed, but something fundamental shifted. Love doesn't vanish, it warps under pressure. Lily started asking why I flinched at noises. I had no answer that wouldn't infect her. What survived? The story didn't die, it fractured. Pieces of it lived online. In forums. In archives. In places that refused to forget. That was enough to make them careful, not enough to make them stop. The truth I carry now. I used to think monsters hid in shadows. They don't. They sit in offices. They approve transfers. They close files. And sometimes, they look exactly like men I used to work for.